After a very unexpected conversation on the terrace this evening, I would like to apologize on behalf of both of us for the two people that we've hurt.
I sense that he's someone who's really trustworthy and has a lot of the qualities that I'm looking for in a partner.
I'm actually seething because at the end of the day, Harrison is playing with people's emotions and is being allowed to do that without anyone calling him out. And at the end of the day, I feel like his decision to pull Tony to couple up with him was because he knew if he stayed in his couple and there was a couple's vote, he was going home. And so this is why he's decided to tell Tony what he knows she wants to hear in order for him to pick her, because he knows he's more likely to stay in the villa if he couples up with Tony. Do I think he's going to stay loyal to her? No. Do I think they'll last? No, they won't. Sadly, Tony thinks he's a better option because he lives in America, so it's easier for her to sort of see him and have a relationship, but his age is very telling. And I'm devastated for Cash, because at the end of the day, he's been given the same what do I call it? He's been given the same, oh my God, what do I need? Well, he's been treated the same way they treated Billykiss, in the sense that Billykiss, no one picked her until Connor picked her. Or until she was, no, I'm not Connor. Who coupled up with her last time? Until Gio picked her when she was standing up there on her own and looked like she wanted to cry. She was blindsided. And the same thing has happened to Cash. He's been blindsided. He thought he and Tony were set. And so to stand there and have everyone else pick whoever they want and then be picked as the last option by Emily, I'm seething. I really am seething, because it's unacceptable to treat people like trash for entertainment purposes. It's unacceptable. And I appreciate Emma for her speech. I thought it was one of the best, and I really love that, because at least it lifted Cash's mood a bit. But the way he walked away, you could tell he's seething. He is seething. He deserves better. They need to bring him in his own person. They need to bring in Billykiss her own person. If he and Billykiss are not going to explore that, then they need to bring them people in, because we're fed up of the whole nonsense that's taking place. Anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island UK, Season 12, Episode 37. Part of me wants to believe that the decision to say who goes home and who stays was down to Ty and Shakira, but the other part of me wants to think that it was production based and they just told Shakira and Tony and Ty what to say, because at the end of the day they put people that knew Shakira would want to save, and so Tommy never stood a chance. Her argument didn't make sense. It didn't make sense for me personally, because to say that Tommy is going home because he's closed off and is not open to exploring connections, you might as well send Dijon and Meg as well. If that's going to be the rationale, you might as well send Dijon and Meg. Personally, with how small this villa is, I don't understand how people will still want to explore connections with people that they know that they are already in sort of situationships with other people. Anyway, so they decide to send home Tommy and Lucy. I think production was embarrassed because of the voice note that was released by the friend, and this is why they wanted to send Tommy home. I don't think they wanted him to become more emotionally invested in this girl, especially if she was playing him, and this is why he was sent home. The girls were unhappy. The clique was unhappy because, Lucy was one of their own. She was in the clique, and so sadly for Lucy, what she did wrong was she got in a couple. She was never open to anyone, and she joined the clique. And the clique, we know, doesn't get along with the other team, so she never stood a chance. Her only protection was Meg or Helena. Not even Helena, Meg. And sadly, she's found her way home. Everybody was disgruntled. People were moaning bitterly. Why are they going home? Why are they going home? Tommy, on his part, didn't understand why he was being sent home, because he felt, he had done everything that he was supposed to do when he came into the villa. But hey, it is what it is. You have to roll with the punches. I don't think he brought any entertainment outside of being, a gossip monger, carrying gossip from the guys to the girls. That's all he did. He didn't contribute much to the show, so I'm happy that, maybe it's time for him to go home and sort of see what happens there. You then have Harrison go and sit with Lauren. He's consoling Lauren because they were in the bottom. Tony is on the daybeds with Billykiss and Shakira. And so Shakira is saying she saved Connor because he wants to explore a connection with her. And she saved, Harrison because of Tony. And Tony is saying, well, look at him. He's busy cuddling and kissing with Lauren, so he should have gone home. And it's like, but you said you didn't want that to be the end of the last conversation you had with him on the floor. Which is it? Do you like him or don't you like him? Or are you saying whatever you're saying from a place of hurt because this guy that you really liked is now with somebody else? I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. I think, well, I don't know. I don't think it's it. I love that Billykiss was honest and told her that now that Harrison has been vulnerable, he's going to come after you because he doesn't want to be vulnerable again, because he's realized that being with you, he can be safe, so he's going to come after you. So it's up to Tony to decide, does she want to be used by this man as his safety net, as his way of staying in the villa, or does she want someone who really likes her for her? And sadly, I think, although she knows that this man doesn't feel about her the same way she does, she's going to continue to sort of try and push for that. You had this conversation, I forgot to say, whereby you had everybody disgruntled: Harry, Helena, Meg, Dijon. They were all complaining that why is Tony going home? And Emma had to say, guys, I know you don't want him to go home, but I'm here, because they were saying, oh, you know, Connor and Emma just broke up this morning, so why is she still here? And it's like, nah, that's not it. The guys gathered at the fire pit and Ty had to be interrogated. How did you get to that decision? Was it only a Shakira decision, or were you involved? And it's like, what do you want him to do? What do you want him to say? Do you want him to throw Shakira under the bus? Make it make sense. I found it a bit strange that the boys decided to interrogate Ty right in front of Connor and, you know, Harrison, because they are the two guys that Shakira has saved. So what are they trying to say? Are they trying to say that they wanted, you know, Connor or Harrison to go home? I thought they were close friends with Harrison. What exactly about that has sort of made them feel that way? Shakira and Ty then had a conversation. I really don't know what Shakira sees in Connor. I think she's trying to save her friend. I don't think there's anything romantic there, because she sat down with Ty and told Ty that unfortunately she's decided to move on with Connor. And it's like, why would you do that? This is not the moment for you to do that. Yeah, I guess it shows that you're not a game player, because you could have easily stayed in your couple because you're voted the most compatible. But still, at the same time, maybe give Connor time to show you who he is, because he's been very messy with everybody that he's been in a couple with. And sadly, you might be blinded because you're his friend. Tony and Harrison sitting at the fire pit and her saying to him, you know, the ball is in your court. I don't get why. I'm going to stick to it. Tony is basing her connections on the idea that this person lives in the USA or he comes to the USA, and not on the connection that, oh, I might have a romantic spark. Because the idea that she would think that Harrison is a better option to Cash still doesn't make sense to me. It still doesn't make sense. I think Cash deserves better, and I think she deserves better, and Cash would have been a better option for her had she stayed with him, instead of her sort of even attempting to try and see if there's anything to rekindle with Harrison. Unless she likes the idea of Harrison being in the villa, everything else doesn't make sense. Shakira and Connor then went to the fire pit, and Shakira informed him that she had called things off with Ty because she wanted to focus on him. My question is, what has changed? We're now week 5. This guy has not shown you any romantic interest unless we haven't seen the conversations. So what in particular, it's not just one conversation in the hideaway that would make you think, oh my God, this is it. This is God's gift to mankind. I don't get it. Yes, you had Ty go and tell the clique and their guys that, you know, Shakira and I have called things off. She said she wants to carry on with Connor. And it's like, this is messy. This really is messy. It's just, I don't know. For Helena to say, why is it always effing Shakira? And it's like, what has Shakira done to you? What in particular has she done to you that makes you want to hate her so much? Her just existing is enough to aggravate you. Anyway, the islanders get ready for the night. And while they're getting ready, you have this conversation between Billykiss, Yasmin, Tony, and Shakira. Shakira is saying, everybody hates me, but I had to do what I felt was best for me. The clique is not helping with this response. And Tony is still saying she wishes Harrison had gone home. And it's like, seriously, you go home if you don't want him here, because you are the one who gave us the impression that you wanted him to go, you wanted to explore with him. So when the lights go out to see, Tony cuddling with Cash doesn't make sense. It's like, if you're cuddling with Cash, why then are you exploring something with Harrison? I always say the situation in bed says a lot than the words that come out of these people's mouths. Because in bed, that's when you see who really likes one another and who's just putting on an act. Because those that are putting on an act just turn and face opposite ways. Those that really like one another are cuddling and kissing. And for when the lights went out, for Harrison to start looking for a condom, it's like, which is it? Do you still want to explore with Tony, or are you now playing husband and wife with Lauren, and that's it? So in the morning, the islanders wake up. Obviously, the villa is reeling from the fact that 4 people had to go home the night before. It was an unexpected dumping, and I don't think people expected 4 people to go. But at the end of the day, they're going to keep people that will give them drama and send home people that are not. Ben wasn't bringing anything at the moment, and I don't think even if they were to have an award ceremony, he would have brought anything. Tommy hasn't brought anything from the day he walked in, so I'm not surprised that he went home. Anyway, you have the islanders get up. We did see Billykiss and Boris in their bed before they came to join everyone, and it's like, are the producers succumbing to viewer pressure, asking where is Billykiss, or is something about to go wrong? I worry about that. Anyway, you have them split into groups. So you had the clique on the terrace. They've got their latest recruit, Lauren, and then you had Yasmin, Tony and Shakira on the daybeds, but we didn't get to see Billykiss, so I don't know where Billykiss was. But before the girls went out for the chats, you had Helena busy telling Megan that, last night Harrison was busy asking for a condom from Harry. And it's like, why are you telling her in front of Shakira? What are you trying to prove? I don't get it. Anyway, the girls on the terrace are having a conversation. The issue about the condom comes up, and then you have Lauren reveal that she's had sex multiple times, not just the once. It seems they've had it twice, and there've been other things that they've had before, or in between these two. And so she then questions the other girls that, what have you guys done? And they're all shocked to find out that this is what they're doing. They're all saying Megan insists that she and Dijon have not done anything. And it's like, so what is there between you and Dijon outside of the arguments? We haven't seen you kiss. We barely see you cuddle. What exactly is it about you? With Helena, she reveals that, she's pleased Harry, but Harry hasn't pleased her. And it's like, so you're fighting for someone who you pleased, but he hasn't pleased you. So what's the point of being in a couple with him then? I don't get it, really. What's the point? On the daybeds, Tony's saying, she really wishes that Harrison had gone home, especially given the fact that, he was busy being pleasured by Lauren the night before. I don't think at that point she knew the full extent of what took place. So she just thought they had a handy Susan, but they've gone the full mile. So I don't know how she's going to feel when she finds out. You had Yasmin and Shakira trying to say to Tony, don't pretend like you're not bothered, because we know you're bothered, you really like him. And she's, no, I wanted him to go home. And it's like, if you want him to go home, you should have said so. You shouldn't even have opened the door. You shouldn't be the one pulling him for chats. I don't get why you continually pull him for chats. At the fire pit, you have the guys having a chat, and the issue about Harrison being brought up again, that he's been busy. And then on his part, Ty says, because Shakira said it's over, he wants to explore connection with somebody else, so he is thinking of going for Lauren. And it's like, Lauren has already given it away. I don't think she'll be open to the idea of exploring anything with you, so you might just be wasting your time. Finally, we get to see Boris and Billykiss, and Boris is saying, I don't understand why every time we go to bed, I just go to bed, I go to sleep, and that's it. There's no urge to sort of cuddle, there's no urge to kiss, there's nothing. And Billykiss was saying, I want to hear what you think at the end of the day. Even if it doesn't make me happy, I still want to hear. I'd rather hear and find out what's going on than sort of bury my head in the sand and then wake up one morning and things have gone left. And it's like, yeah, I want them to bring in someone. If they could bring in someone for Mimi last season, they need to bring in someone for Billykiss, because Billykiss has been through a lot. She deserves to have someone who comes in all for her. I don't know why Cash hasn't made a beeline for Billykiss, really. I don't know why. I did see him speak to Emma, but I wish he had gone for Billykiss. Unless he doesn't want to tread on Boris's feet. That's the only thing I can think of. You have Shakira flirting with Connor. That I don't know where that is going. I really don't know where that is going. And I really wish we could know where it is going, because we are all so confused. It came out of left field. They need to tell us what's going on. Harrison and Lauren were at the fire pit. They were busy flirting and having chats, and they're sort of talking about their connection and how well they're doing. And then you had Ty woke up, and Ty woke up, and Harrison is saying, "Oh, you're here to grab my missus," blah blah. And it's like Harrison is looking for a way out. He's got what he wanted from this girl, and is ready to make moves. This is why he's saying, "You're welcome to whatever, explore with my person if you want." Personally, I don't think Harrison is emotionally invested in Lauren. I think he likes her body and the things that his body makes him feel, but that's it. I don't think emotionally, because if there was this emotion, then he wouldn't be treating her like that. Then he wouldn't be open to the idea of somebody else exploring with her that quickly. Although he insisted that don't kiss her. And it's like, oh my God, keep quiet. You don't own her. I personally feel like we need to get someone new in the production room, because at the end of the day, the ideas are becoming stale. It's always love triangle after love triangle after love triangle. And this, situation is not helping matters. It's just turning a good sort of season into terrible stuff, because Tony, Harrison, Lauren, Cash, and everybody else who's spying around them, it shouldn't be a thing that should last more than one episode. I don't know why we're having to continue with this nonsense for forever, because at the end of the day, this should have been over. The moment after movie night, they should have had the conversations, and that would have been it. So you have Tony on the day beds with Yasmin and Helena for some reason, with Connor, and she's trying to suss out what Harrison was doing in bed with Lauren the night before. And Connor is saying, he can't say anything. If she wants to find out, she has to go and speak to, Harrison and ask Harrison. Tony is saying, she can't compete with someone who's giving handy what do they call it, handy Andy or something. So she would rather remove herself from that situation. You have Helena run from there straight to the den where Dijon is sitting with Meg, Lauren and Harry, and she's busy telling them, oh, Tony is busy trying to suss out what you are doing in bed. You have Lauren now saying this is none of Tony's business. Why is Tony involving herself in that business? That's not her business. And it's like, yeah, you girls are allowing Harrison to use you as his toys and sort of as his pawns and move you from place to place without a mind of your own, which doesn't make sense. Tony then pulls Harrison for a chat, and she's trying to suss out what's going on. She's trying to find out, what are you doing? He won't own up. She's saying, I deserve better. And it's like, you do have better, Tony. You have better in the sense that you have Cash, a mature man, a grown man, someone who appears to really like you, and you're not content with that because you want to be part of the drama. But then at the same time, if she doesn't involve herself in this hot mess, then Cash won't get airtime. So it's a double-edged sword. I'd rather he get airtime, but I'd rather get airtime for positive things, not when his feelings are being hurt. Cash is sitting on the other end of the villa with Boris, and he's saying, if she is going to be screaming around the villa saying, you don't deserve me, you don't deserve me, I don't want to be an option to her. And it's like, yeah, I get where he's coming from. Because Tony didn't get her way, she then goes and pulls Lauren for a chat. And it's like, this is messy. Why are we having an MDT? Or, you have a little meeting there. Let us all sit down, the four of us. Let us sit down, air our emotions. Because yes, Tony acknowledges that it's not just her emotions. It's Lauren, it's Cash, it's Harrison. Yes, but let's all four sit down. Let's all discuss what's going on and come to a conclusion. Lauren, sadly, being around the clique, it's starting to show. Because of the way she spoke to Tony, I didn't like what she said. She could have easily just sat there and said, Tony, you said I should come to speak to you if there's any problem, but I feel some type of way about you sort of questioning people about what I do with my body in the bed and the comments that you made afterwards. I think Tony, as soon as it was said, she knew it was Helena, because Yasmin wouldn't go and repeat to Lauren. They don't seem to have that relationship. And so for them to sit down, it was very contentious. Instead of them being united and sort of coming to an understanding, Harrison is the problem. This is what he's saying. This is what he's doing behind our backs. And so we need to understand, because Tony already knows that this genius has a habit of lying behind people's backs. So I don't get why they didn't just have that conversation. You then have Cash is on the day beds. Obviously, he's feeling some type of way because he feels like he's being made into an option. Tony eventually pulls him for a chat. They sit down. She is saying that, she's done with Harrison. She wants to move on. And she's being asked, what has changed that has made you decide that you want to move on? The things that he was doing in bed. And so it's like, If he wasn't playing with bits in bed, you'd still be with him. Oh, I deserve someone who values me, someone who cherishes me, someone. And it's like, you're telling the person who's doing that, that's what you deserve. But you're still going after nonsense. What is it? What is it? I honestly don't get it. And I'm getting furious on behalf of Cash because I think he deserves better. I thought Tony deserved better. They put her in someone and she's not appreciating that. So anyway, in the meantime, Billykiss receives a message. Islanders, tonight there will be a recoupling in which the girls will choose which boy they want to couple up with. Hashtag no more lies. It's like, oh God. So the Islanders are getting ready for the night, and while they're getting ready, you have this conversation between Harry and Harrison. I feel like it was coordinated by production, because why is it all the boys left the room and it was suddenly them two? And Harrison is saying, he thinks he's made a mistake, he thinks he wants Tony back, and there's no question or any conversation or advice from Harry. Harry's just been told, go and pull her and bring her to the terrace, and that's it. I said it yesterday and I'll say it again. He uses the terrace as though it's his office. Anyway, so you have Harry go and pull, Tony for a chat. Tony comes out not realizing that she's being taken to the terrace. They go to the terrace. Harrison tells her every nonsense that he feels she wants to hear. Why she's still eating it up, I do not get it. What makes her think that suddenly he is going to be all about her when he hasn't? He played her with Helena. He played her with Lauren, and had he had any other options, he would have played her. I'm surprised they didn't show how much he was all over Lauren in Casa, because at least that would have allowed Tony to move on from this idiot, because this genius is not doing anything at all. Anyway, the Islanders get ready. They pick up their drinks. They come out to the fire pit immediately, and they start a recoupling. First up is Helena. Helena, what do I think? Well, her speech personally, I found it sort of being messy. Her and Meg were trying to be petty and messy because she said some people don't believe that we should be together. This is because Harry must have told her that Emma said, they don't deserve to be together. Some people don't think. So she's throwing shade at Shakira. She's throwing shade at Emma. And I'm asking, do you seriously think by being with Harry, you've won the prize? Make that make sense in your head. You think being with Harry is the prize? Oh, you're in for a rude awakening, because when you leave the villa, chances are he's going to look for somebody else, or he's going to go back to Emma, and then you're going to be eating your words. Next up is Meg. Meg spoke about people trying to break them up, and it's like, who's trying to break you up? Who is trying to break you and Dijon up? You and Dijon are trying to break each other up. Nobody else. You are putting up with his nonsense and you are continuing to go along with that, and now suddenly it's everybody else's problem because everybody's trying to tell you the truth. Make that make sense? Anyone surprised that Meg and Dijon recoupled? No. Shakira stood up. Shakira spoke about, Connor has been there. He's been in the background, sort of being her support system, being her backbone. And so I think him asking to couple up with her, she knew him as a friend and trusted him as a friend and decided to go with it. I think even if it's not romantic, she'd rather get to the end with someone she trusts and likes than be with someone she doesn't like, because we are yet to see her kiss Connor. So I think she's doing it more to save her friend than she is doing it for a romantic connection. I don't think there's a romantic connection there. I think she's just doing it because he is her friend and she wants to keep her friend safe in the villa. That's the impression that I get. Yasmin and Jamie, I'm surprised we haven't really seen their journey, because we had Yasmin stand up. She spoke about, he's nice to look at. He's got a heart of gold. He's I think he said he's a what? He's a what? Oh my God, what's that dog? He's a golden retriever to her black cat. And it's like, oh my God, everyone just laughed. I think he calms her down. I think he mellows her. And if they are to leave the villa as a couple, I can actually see them working because they complement each other very well. Tony stood up. She made it a point to clarify why she was picking him, and this is sad because I remember very well. Cash said to Harrison, keep me in the loop. If you're going to do anything, let's respect each other. Let's show each other at least a bit of respect. And Harrison hasn't respected him. So I'm happy that Tony actually said it, that after our conversation on the terrace and this person telling me and showing me that he's made amends, he's realized where he went wrong. She apologized to both Lauren and Cash. She decided to pull up with Harrison. Do I think it's a good idea? No, I do not think it's a good idea. I think it's messy, and I think it's going to all end up in tears, especially if she finds out how intimate Harrison and Lauren were. Because at this point, she still doesn't know exactly what Harrison has been doing. She's just blindly sort of believing every single thing that he does, even though she's called him a liar before. You have Billykiss. Billykiss, I was surprised that she chose to couple up with Boris. At this point, if I were Billykiss, I would have gone for Cash. Unless they've exploded and they've realized there's nothing there. That's the only other thing. Or unless maybe he's friends with Dami, and because he's friends with Dami and she's Dami's ex, they've decided not to explore that. That's the only reason I could think of. Because this was her golden opportunity to steal Cash. Unless she's worried that if she steals Cash, then Cash might go back to Tony if Tony sort of ends things for good with Harrison. Because she spoke about the fact that, Boris is, his words and his actions, they don't align. She spoke about the fact that she's willing to give it a try to see if they can grow something. And it's like, at this point, you should know whether this is worth it or not. If it's not worth it, then leave it and keep it stepping. There's no need for you to continue to try and explore something that's not there. You had Lauren. Lauren at this stage was very upset. She stood up. We'd already seen her try to explore something with Ty, because Ty was speaking to her earlier, but she didn't seem that keen on it. Anyway, she spoke about wanting to get to know Ty. They've had a conversation. He's good looking. He's got good morals. And she's been down a bumpy road. And it's like, you were down a bumpy road yourself. You were the one who was involving yourself with this messy guy when you came back to the villa and you heard and you saw movie night. That should have been a wake up call for you. But you and Tony want to learn, from experience. Emma was the last person to stand up. Emma was in a couple with Connor. Connor decided to bin that couple. So she then stood up. I love that she made it a point to clarify that she really likes this person. He really makes her comfortable. He's very trustworthy. He comes across as someone who's very steady in what he does because she's been on a bumpy ride and she can't wait to see if there's anything there. I don't know. I don't want Cash with someone like Emma, just because Emma seems older than him, one. And it seems like if he couples up with her, chances are he will be sent home. And I don't want him to go home. He doesn't deserve to go home. We are yet to see his personality. I've started seeing a couple of his TikTok videos, and I wish we could get to see more of that. I hate the fact that they've given Cash the same treatment they gave Billykiss. Because we all remember after Dijon dragged Billykiss and was very disrespectful to her, she was then suddenly abruptly dropped by Connor, and she had to stand there not knowing what was her fate until Gio stood up for her. And so to do the same thing to Cash is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. If you don't want people from a certain group, then don't bring them on. Don't bring them on for your entertainment and for your sort of relish at their misery. Why should we continue to do that? I do not like that. The recoupling, after the recoupling, it was awkward because you had everybody sat down and you had Connor with Shakira sat right next to Emma, and then you had Cash sat right next to Tony and Harrison, and they didn't know what to do with themselves. So after the recoupling, you had, Cash was the first person to stand up and walk off, and then you had this girl from the clique crying, and she was being consoled by her friends, and it's like, what did she expect from Harrison? What did she expect? Because she's now complaining that she looks like an idiot, and it's like, but you are bragging that people shouldn't be interfering in your business. This is what happens when you don't open your eyes, when you're being asked to open your eyes and you choose not to open your eyes. For Tony and Harrison to be sat at the fire pit and say, I feel so bad. What did you think, Sherlock Holmes? What did you think was going to be the solution to this? What did you think? Messing about with Harrison. You reap what you sow. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 36. Bye guys.